Hello, students. How are you? I'm doing okay. Golden Week is finished, and I stayed home the whole time. So I didn't shave my beard. I'm sorry, it's a little messy, but I like it. What do you think? Okay, for today's lesson, I want to talk about food, and I want to talk about the difference between washoku and yoshoku. Okay, so I was Google searching what is the oldest yoshoku in Japan? What is the first Western food that came to Japan? And I found that the Portuguese people came to Japan long ago, and they had a couple interesting foods that they introduced to Japanese people, like castera and I think harumaki, but maybe I'm wrong. Was it harumaki? Oh, it was tempura. Tempura, yeah. Castera and tempura came from Portuguese, but it looks like Japanese food. Tempura looks like Japanese style food. Anyway, I was searching Google and I found a really interesting article. It's called "The Art of Yoshoku." So, everyone, today's article is The Art of Yoshoku. Please go to Google. Please type in The Art of Yoshoku, and it's going to be the first link. And it's from japan.travel. Also, I will put the link in the box below this video. I will also put the words to check. There's only 3 words today, just 3 words, so we will go over them together. I think this article was not so difficult, so it's a nice read, but it's a little long. And I have 5 discussion questions that I'll ask you. I hope you can answer. Everyone answered the discussion questions from last week's video. I think many of you just answered on the email, which is perfect. Thank you for answering. And I will correct it, or I will respond to it, or whatever you want to do. Please ask me any questions you have or anything like that. Okay, I shortened this article a little bit, so I will skip a couple foods. But I hope that you enjoy this reading. I chose the best yoshokus from this article. Let's begin. Did you know there are 2 main categories of food in Japan? They're called yoshoku and washoku. Yes, to the foreign traveler, they both sound equally Japanese, but translated, yoshoku means Western food and washoku means Japanese food. But there's a twist. Western food, yoshoku, in Japan doesn't exactly mean hamburgers, spaghetti, and fish and chips. At least, not as we know it. With its origins dating back to the Meiji period, yoshoku was encouraged to incorporate Western ingredients into the diets of Japanese people. But while many popular cuisines from across the West were imported into Japanese culture, they merely served as an influence for the way Japanese cook. They merely served as an influence for the way of Japanese cooking. That's right, yoshoku is Western food reinvented the Japanese way. Here are some of the most popular yoshoku dishes worth trying in Japan. First is Kare Rice. Translated, Kare Rice means curry rice. We know what you're thinking. Curry is not exactly a Western food. Although originating from India, this dish made its way to Japan via the British in the late 1800s. The curry is usually made with onions, carrots, and potatoes and poured over white rice for a simple but tasty meal. It can also come with breaded cutlets of pork or chicken, katsukare, or over noodles, kare udon. So take your pick. Number 2, Napolitan. Sounds Italian. That's because it is, almost. With its name originating from the Italian region of Naples, or Napoli in Japanese, Napolitan is a spaghetti dish made with tomato sauce and mixed with green peppers, onion, mushroom, sausage, and bacon. It's a simple dish it's a simple dish that's reminiscent of a time when fresh meats and produce were harder to come by. Okay, number 3, omurice. The name omurice comes from the words omelet and rice, and it's tastier than it looks. This is a dish that gives little way from the outside. This is a dish that gives little away from the outside. Omurice is a serving of flavored rice wrapped neatly in an omelet parcel and served with tomato ketchup. While the style of rice can vary from restaurant to restaurant, it's usually fried with meat and flavored with beef stock and demi-glace sauce. Omusoba is a variation to this dish which uses noodles instead of rice. Sounds pretty good. Okay, finally, the last one is koroke. This is a slightly more sophisticated and flavorsome version of the French croquet, or croquette. I think it's croquette. I'll ask my French friend. Unlike the French version, the mashed potatoes in koroke is usually accompanied by small pieces of meat and vegetables. This mixture is coated in breadcrumbs and deep fried until golden brown. A popular Japanese snack. You'll find koroke in the deli section of most supermarkets and even in convenience stores. They can even be served on top of udon noodles or soba. All right, so those are the yoshoku I chose. I really like these: Kare Rice, Napolitan, omurice, and koroke. I think that most of these foods are pretty easy to cook, so I think maybe you have cooked them or tried them. I know omurice is very popular with children, so maybe you cook them for your kids or friends' kids or something like that. Enjoyed omurice. Also, I know when I was a junior high school teacher, many kyushoku had these dishes. We ate kare udon and kare rice. We ate omurice and koroke and katsukare and so on. It's really interesting to see that Japanese people took Western dishes and created a special Japanese style of the Western dish. Especially, I was surprised at Napolitan. Napolitan is a Japanese food. They looked at spaghetti and they created their own form of spaghetti using different vegetables and meat. It's really delicious. In fact, my wife Mia, she cooks really delicious Napolitan, and I always ask her to make it. Okay, let's look at the 3 difficult words I chose for today. Number 1 is incorporate. Incorporate. All right. Number 1, incorporate. To take in or contain something. To take in or contain something. In the reading, it says, Yoshoku was encouraged to incorporate Western ingredients into the diets of Japanese people. Okay, to take in or contain something. We have the Japanese diet. The Japanese diet takes in, incorporates Western food. Takes in the Western food. So the Japanese diet incorporates Western ingredients. Okay? All right, number 2 is reminiscent. Reminiscent. It sounds like remember, reminiscent, remember. And it's kind of similar word. So reminiscent, reminding us of something. Reminiscent, reminding us of something. In the writing, it's about Napolitan, and it says, it's a simple dish that's reminiscent of a time when fresh meats and produce were hard to come by. So I think it's talking about after World War II, it was difficult to find fresh meat and vegetables in Japan. So they cooked a lot of the older vegetables and meat, so it was safe to eat. And they cooked it in tomato sauce and pasta. So it reminds us of a time when this happened. So reminding us of something, reminiscent of a time. Okay, and the last one is accompanied by. Accompanied by. The definition on Google says go somewhere with something, with someone. Go somewhere with something. So you can say he was accompanied by his wife to the theater. He was accompanied by his wife to the theater. But it doesn't work for this definition doesn't work in this writing. It says Koroke is usually accompanied by small pieces of meat and vegetables. All right, so it says go somewhere with something. That doesn't work in this. So I made my own, and it says to include an item with another item. To include an item with another item. Okay, we are including meat and vegetables with koroke. Include an item with another item. The item is food, meat and vegetables. Another item is koroke. So koroke is usually accompanied by small pieces of meat and vegetables. Alrighty, well, let's look at the discussion questions, and I'll answer a couple of these discussion questions. So I don't want to give you guys too many ideas. Last week, when we talked about Tulip Mania, I mentioned, what did I mention? I mentioned orchids, I think, and I mentioned bonsai. Bonsai was a very expensive tree in Japan, and some of the students, the answers was bonsai. So I'm sorry, it was a good idea. I gave you that idea. I'm sorry for stealing your idea. So I don't want to answer too many, but I will give my opinion on a couple. Okay, number one. From this list in the article, what is your favorite Yoshoku? Why do you like it? Okay, so you have the list, Kare Rice, Napolitan, Omurice, Koroke. There's a couple more on the website. You can use those too. What is your favorite and why do you like it? Number two, if you recommend washoku to a tourist, what will you recommend? If you recommend washoku to a tourist, what will you recommend? Okay, there's one rule for this discussion question. No sushi, okay? Sushi is a very easy answer. I think it's the most popular washoku. Please think of another dish, okay? Another washoku dish. Number three, can you think of another interesting yoshoku dish? Okay, we talked about 4 yoshoku dishes. There's a couple more on the website. Can you think of something else? One more. Let me know, and give me your opinion on that yoshoku dish. Do you like it? Can you think of another interesting yoshoku dish? Okay, number 4. What yoshoku dish do you usually cook most often? What yoshoku dish do you usually cook most often? So as I said before, Mio cooks Napolitan. It's really delicious. She makes the tomato sauce with some seasoning, and it's perfect. So I always ask her to make Napolitan. All right, last question, number 5. Is there any food you ate in a foreign country that you want to become popular in Japan? One more time. Is there any food you ate in a foreign country that you want to become popular in Japan? Now, I love Mexican food, and I know there is very few Mexican restaurants in Japan, and the Mexican restaurants in Japan are not so delicious. So I really, really want Mexican food to become more popular in Japan so we can have more delicious Mexican food, like a burrito or something. I said Mexican food, so that's not a dish. That's a country's food. But I want you to answer a specific food item, okay? So I said Mexican food, but my answer would be a burrito, a Mexican burrito. Burrito is like a tortilla with rice and beans and cheese and meat and some lettuce, and you wrap it up and you eat it. So that's my answer, a Mexican burrito, and please tell me your answer as well. One more time. Is there any food you ate in a foreign country that you want to become popular in Japan? All right, that's all for today's online lesson. I hope you enjoyed listening and learning about Yoshoku. I hope you have some interesting answers for the discussion questions. I'm looking forward to your emails or your comments. You can comment in the box below. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Please be safe and take care. Bye.